We're back and we're going to go down to this little bottom corner for this avatar. Let's start attaching the animations to that avatar rig. Now I'm going to collapse this back down, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select one of the new animations that we brought in, and we're going to come up to the top to the inspector. We're going to make sure it's set to rig. Animation type is going to set to humanoid, and then the avatar definition, we want it. We did this with the other one, create from model. We actually want to use copy from another avatar. So again, we're going to go in there, click on it, and then we're going to go to source. Right now it's set to none. We go to the input box right here, click on it, and we're going to find that guy rig avatar and double click on it and then hit apply, and that actually goes in there and attaches that rig avatar to that animation. And we do that for each one of these. So again, I'll go through the process. I'll select a new one, rig, animation type, humanoid, create from model, go down to copy from another avatar, and then go to source, input box, and then find guy rig avatar or whatever avatar that you established with or started with to set up, and double click it and then hit apply. One more time, click on that, humanoid, copy from another, go to source, click on it, double click on the avatar itself and hit apply. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to do this for the rest of the animations. Alright, I'm back and I went through and I finished doing that initial setup for it. And now what we want to do is set up a animation controller to be able to cycle through all the different animations that we have inside of Unity using that avatar. So to do that is we go in the gray area anywhere in the assets folder down here in the project directory. So anywhere in the gray area, just right click and just where is it? Go to create. So right click, create, and then somewhere right in the little below the middle, we want to go to animation controller. And then here we want to rename this. It's going to be named like new animation controller. I'm just going to get rid of the new and just call it animation controller. And again, this is what's used for programmers to control the different animations and the rig for the player. So this is basically the main, can kind of say, program or the script that runs the animations for the player to actually use. So what we're going to do is we're going to double click on it, and it gives us this little grid or this little node editor, I should say. And we got an initial state and an entry. So as soon as it enters the game engine, so as soon as we execute the game, it's going to go into the entry, and we're going to tell it to use one of these animations to start off with. And then what's going to happen is it's going to we're going to tell it to cycle through all these different animations and then exit out. So that's what this box is over here. So I can just click on it and drag it over here. And let's start with arms crossed right here. So if I click on it and I can open up this little arrow and I can hit the take 001, I can hit play, and that should be the arms crossed. Well, that looks good for what I want. So I'll stop it, I'll collapse it, and I'll drag that into the graph editor or the node editor. So left mouse click, hold, and drag it in, and it automatically links up the entry to that first animation. It'll be called take 1. So that's already established. Now let's bring in another one. Let's go through the boxing stages here. So I'm going to grab the one next to it and drag that in. And it automatically brings in the next one, and it'll come in as gray. But now let's link the two. So what we're going to do is we're going to hover over the first one, which is going to be in orange, right click, and then we go to the make it transition. Click on that, and then we can just drag this arrow so on the cursor down to the next take, and just click on that next take, and it makes that link. And if we were actually to click on the link itself, it actually gives us this little box over here, and this is basically, think of it as like a little bit like video editing. it's actually giving us two different clips and a transition fading from one into the next. And we even get a little preview down here at the bottom, so we can even hit play and watch the animations go into each other. And there you go. So that seems like it's working. It does some weird orientation stuff inside of the viewport, but that should not be the problem when we actually run it inside our viewport in the game engine. So it just acts a little funny inside the viewer. So I'm going to hit pause. And if you want this transition to happen longer, you can play with the actual clips themselves. So you can drag them back and forth and have it take longer or shorter on that transition. You can even play with the transition itself and give it a longer duration. So you can see it just kind of takes a little bit longer to get in there. So that's up to you. You can play around with it. I'm going to make this a little bit shorter and then drag it over right there. Perfect. So you can play with that if you want. Now let's bring in the next clip. So let's see. This was the run the box, and then we'll just what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep dragging them in for each one. And you can see as I'm dragging them in, it kind of pops over. And there you go. And then I can kind of scroll up with the wheel. I can, use the Alt button and left mouse click to kind of pan around. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and say make transition, and then link that one up, and then make another transition from the next one into the next. So I'm just basically just daisy chaining all these together. Right click, make transition, and then make transition. And then I want to use the wheel mouse to scroll down, and I think I've got a walk cycle and a run cycle right here. And again, I'm going to link those together like that. And I can reposition these so they don't look so wonky. There we go. There we are. And then what I want to do is scroll up and grab that exit button or node and drag it all the way down to the bottom. So this basically ends our animation and then tells it to loop again. So again, from that last take, right click, make a transition to exit. And there you are. So now you've gone in there and you basically have linked all your animations into each other into a nice long animation chain, and then you're telling it to exit out and then start all over from the beginning. So basically sending it back to the entry, and it'll just keep going until you stop playing the actual game. So that's how you set up the animation controller. So let's go back to scene. So we're going to come up to the top of our viewport here and just hit scene. And let's start setting up the scene itself and put the character and build up just a real quick environment. We'll do that in the next video.